Пока что, насколько я понимаю, у вас
да, я вот уже то, что да, не хотелось.
пока что один человек смотрит трансляцию.
Вообще ролик
Он не полная трансляция.
все, понял. Тогда вопросов никаких.
Oh, I see. So it sees that. But it can be on single market.
Первое, самое раннее дело.
This just makes me think about what Andreas was saying earlier. You know, this is a really good area for you guys because you already have some expertise, right? You open it up, and I think, you know, definitely if you just look worldwide at the different markets, right? There's so much potential in so many different areas because if you think about it from the drone side, right? There's this rise, all sorts of drones from everything, right? So it's a huge market space. It's growing very fast, right? But I just worry that and I agree with you. You know, you have to start if you have funding, right? And you have certain customers now. That's really good, right? However, remember what I was saying about like me at AT&T, right? The markets that the company was already in and the business models that they have prevented me from implementing strained silicon in AT&T, right? So the struggle you're going to have is that you know, a lot of these fast-growing markets, you know, are related, but they're not exactly the same market implementation as what you're doing now, right? So at some point, your company is going to have to take this knowledge that you're developing here, like in this project, and figure out to jump out there and do some different innovation paths, right? Because you know, the world is not going to sit by, and these markets are going to get filled up with competition, right? So there's going to be people all over the world trying to make systems. You know, I even mentioned the private one. I know for a fact that there's going to be people trying to personally protect their own property, right? Those kinds of systems, you know, have to be private.
I think it's the easiest one to go on international markets for them. For them, yes, because they will not. It's going to be very hard for them to pursue military market internationally.
No, that's fine. But I mean, that kind of civil market. So, like for example, if you have something like a prison, right? It's still something that has, you know, like the way the system is run, and you know what they can pay to run the system as compared to the home system, which basically you don't have an operator. I mean, the system like.
Comes down to the cost.
Exactly. So, but you don't. The point is, you don't know this in the beginning, right? You have to really look at this. Okay, you have to look at the risk, for example, of something going wrong. And it's a little bit like with the autonomous vehicle. Even if the person is not driving the vehicle, okay, you still have to have somebody sitting there in the beginning, okay, because your reliability is only at 97%. Okay, fine, right? And that takes time to get it up to 99%. But that means maybe it cannot be fully automated.
But it really depends too on what your company wants to become, or maybe people within that company that want to form another company. You know, this is the organizational part, right? A lot of times when you have huge growing markets and you can't address them from the initial, you know, company and market, you sometimes have to develop new entities that are branches off of the other one. So for example, maybe you guys see some innovation paths for these other markets. You can't do it from the one here, so you guys create some sort of international company, and then you leverage off your knowledge domestically, and then you start to address.
We've done it in the United States, right?
After Crimea story.
Yeah.
Oh, there is no. Oh, really?
They started.
Well, but I mean, you know, who knows what the future will bring. But it's not just about the
Yeah, but
international thing.
the reason I brought it up, I think they are aware.
Yeah,
but telling them they are at that
Yeah.
level.
But it's also, but it's the same thing with, you know, differentiating between military and civil, right? Because in order to efficiently operate a civil unit, you know, it might be very different. I mean, there is a reason why Airbus and Boeing and whatever, you know, they have their military and their civil units, you know, very different, right? And there's different expertise that you need in those, and different structures to respond to, you know, even the purchasing is different and so on and so forth, right? So the most important point, I think, is to and this is, you know, we'll cover this more tomorrow with your TWI story, is that if you have this universe well filled out, okay, and you have to find what you don't know, and, you know, you keep a record of, like, saying, oh, this could be interesting, don't have time for this now, and we'll give you a tool, you know, to do that, right? We don't have time for that now, okay, it has this uncertainty, we keep it there, we have a graphical way of doing that. And the thing is, when you have that, right, there's two things that are important. First of all is you can always, like, look at this, and because when you develop something along the line, you know, let's say your first product, right, you keep focusing on this, and you kind of forget, you know, these other people, these other things, right, and you have to go back and check because the world has evolved, right, and it's a matter of, like, keeping doing this all the time, and the second thing is that it allows you to go back, and that's very, very important, right? So you might get your first product into market, and it's somewhat successful, you know, and so on, and make a little money, okay? But really, you know, when you need to go like, oh, it's actually more limited, it's more restraining than you thought it would be, okay? It's fine, you covered the development cost, okay, right? But really now, you take this expertise, but you want to go back and really, like, redesign your system and go to a different path, okay?
So in the class, we tend to always talk about, you know, this one innovation path. There's nothing wrong with backing it up, right? And then you can go again, you go on a different innovation path, and then you can back up again. And when I say back up, remember, you already have those universes and you keep on filling them over time, right? And so each time you can go down. And a lot of companies, they don't understand that. They go down that first innovation path, they get the first product, and then they say, they just stick with that, right?
Another
Yeah, but the thing is, you spend a lot of money and you also gain a lot of knowledge, and that knowledge, you know, may be very, like, even more power, more worth more, you know, applying.
Well, in fact, you see that in a lot of U.S. companies today over the last 10 or 15 years, they really haven't invested in the future, right? And so they actually have the same innovation path they run before, and they have a problem now, which is that you know, capital's been very cheap, and so they can keep on going down that path, right? But now when capital costs go back up, they haven't really invested in the future, right? So they can't easily back up and find a new innovation path, which means their future ability to get growth is very difficult, right? So it's always this trade-off about, you know, how much money do you put into filling out the universe, understanding what the next product might be, versus, you know, how much, you know, profit and margin am I trying to collect today, right? It's always a compromise, right? You can't sit back and invest in everything and say that I'm going to have the whole, you know, universe mapped out. Andreas wants to do that, but sometimes it's not possible.
Andreas wants to do that.
I want to report, you know, what I don't know, okay, that's fine. No, so we'll give you a tool, like, for the next phase of the project. We'll give you a tool, like a software tool, which, you know, we can record that, okay, and which, you know, also visualizes that. And so the thing is, once you sort of have, like, it takes a while to sort of, like, get from, you know, PowerPoint bullet size. That's the good thing to start with, okay, because that's what everybody's sort of used to, okay, to, you know, keeping this sort of constantly in mind. You know, not everybody has to keep everything in mind at the same time, okay, but that's why we created the tool, because it's very difficult, you know, to share that, and, you know, and but it's a matter of that you have this repertoire, and you have to keep updating this repertoire, even if you, like, you know, follow very specific first product.
He keeps saying me the same things 2 years later, guys. Exactly the same things.
What?
He loves doing that. Andreas.
Well, so yeah. Okay, sure. I don't know what you were talking about, but it's okay. Yeah, I love doing that. Okay, yeah.
Going into circles.
That's not going into circles. It's a representation. Never mind. All right.
Как рисунок
Do you have any questions for?
Yeah, do you have any more questions? What time is the next one? We have to.
Yeah, we're running late.
We're running late, okay.
But I mean, if you have any questions for them, do you have any questions? You should
We will ask it later.
Okay.
people later.
Мы до 40 минут уже
We'll have
Я
more
знаю, но мне
time.
было,
Okay.
я все прочитала. главное.
Продолжение следующего.
Ну, объясните.
No questions right now.
Later. Okay. Okay. That's good.
All right, great, very nice meeting you.
Thank you. We wish you good luck today.
All right, thank
Thanks.
you, thank you. Thanks very much.
Ладно, хорошо. Хорошо. Ты думаешь, что-то пойдет не так? Так, может быть,
Презентация.
да, может, просто.
Oh. Thank you.
Just small Russian.
Oh yeah.
Very small town.
Uh-huh.
Very small town in Siberia.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's west side, it's
Fine.
fine
Yeah.
mouse.
Thank you.
We
Yeah.
didn't bring too many presents. I ran out of time. Они даже в голову не придут. Tomsk, Siberia. Yes,
Yeah, I think it's a long way.
Они останавливаются на вернуться. Do we need a mic, guys? Fine.
No.
Все как?
Maybe for the recording purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's about employees. Changes. I am Olga Kolkova, the first presenter. My second presenter, our second presenter will be Larissa Petrovska. We are grateful to all members of our team, especially Larissa and Vyacheslav Popov, who have greatly contributed to our presentation. The story behind our research was that
Now we're supposed to start singing. It sounds like you're supposed to start singing.
the story behind our research is that our primary niche was very narrow. We have some project about space solar arrays that we it's our joint project, joint project of two organizations from Tomsk city. The first organization is Institute of Strength Physics and Material Sciences, SDRAS, and the second large organization is Tomsk State University. Our booths of this organization are very strong in research area and partners. this Russian space company Energia. It's very famous, large company. We investigated several types of glasses, covering glasses. The first type was heat-proof glasses. The second, anti-reflection glasses for pictures and so on. The third type was about anti-corrosion and stretch. The fourth was about electronic glasses, and six about usual solar batteries, and the last was about cold-proof and heat-proof glasses. And finally, we choose only two large segments to study in depth investigation. The first is solar battery, and the second is architectural glasses. The different types of architectural glasses improved glasses in general. Please next. We explored two global prospective segments on these markets, and we found that both of them are very rapidly growing, and you can see that the areas of these segments are large enough in the global market. But what about cover? Do you know? Yeah? Okay. It's about 7 and 18%, and advanced glasses from this is about a half. It's a very big market, of course, and we choose the most leading companies and in most segments, and we choose some direct competitors. For example, in these segments, we choose short and close glass because they are very close to our technology, specifications. By 2020s year, according to these markets, these agencies. One of these, you want to represent market? Yes. It's our scan of this universe, but if you sum back, we found that this segment of market is almost disappeared in Russian Federation. It's disappeared. And
you see disappear meaning?
Meaning bankrupted, and monopolized and very regulated.
You mean inside Russia?
Inside the Russian Federation. Inside Russian Federation. And we found the best. We found during the detailed research, we found that R&D in Russia XP side is a huge volume of projects. But what concerns patents in FIPS, in Paris, we found only about 100 patents. And how about producers? According to Frost and Simon and Discovery, we found only 20 alive players in Russia. And unfortunately, this market is rather dead than alive.
Alright.
And so the model production is not free, only models. Only models. It's unfortunate for us, of course. And we found that the main reason for this is monopolization of this segment of market. We know that Alibaba plus Lenovo plus Rosnano made spin-off company, Alibaba, and only this company would give permission agreement for these companies. Only one company control every market.
Okay, right. There's only one end user.
Yeah. That's so. And even this product will be added to the government import ban list. It's almost impossible to reanimate this market in years. And the second part of our segments